Most self-made millionaires don't drive supercars or wear flashy watches. Many drive the same used sedan for 12 straight years. Real wealth isn't loud. It's quiet, repetitive, and almost boring, which is exactly why nobody talks about it online. Today, I'm breaking down the real, unglamorous habits self-made millionaires actually practice, day after day, quietly, behind closed doors. These habits aren't about luck or inheritance. They're learnable skills anyone can start practicing today, regardless of income level. We'll cover 5 silent habits: spending discipline, patient investing, multiple income streams, constant learning, and careful, deliberate risk management. Let's start with the habit almost every self-made millionaire shares, and it has absolutely nothing to do with earning more. Habit 1. They spend far below what they earn, often for years, long before anyone would call them wealthy. Remember that 12-year-old sedan? That's not stinginess. That's a deliberate choice to redirect money toward things that actually grow. Most people increase spending every time they earn more money. Self-made millionaires deliberately resist that urge, year after year. Living below your means isn't about deprivation. It's about creating a gap and consistently investing whatever falls into it. No, this isn't about skipping coffee. It's about avoiding big lifestyle upgrades that quietly eat your entire future net worth. Real discipline looks like driving an older car while your income triples, not upgrading everything the moment money arrives. Every dollar not spent on lifestyle becomes a dollar working toward freedom, quietly compounding while you sleep each night. So habit 1 is simple: spend less than you earn and protect that gap fiercely, no matter how much you make. Once that gap exists, self-made millionaires do something specific with it, something most people find incredibly, painfully boring indeed. Habit 2. They invest early, invest often, and then wait, sometimes for decades, without touching the money at all. They don't try to time the market perfectly. They simply invest consistently, whether prices are rising or quietly falling. This works because of compound interest. Your money earns money, and then that new money starts earning money too. Someone investing at 20 has decades longer for compounding than someone starting at 40, even with smaller amounts monthly. This works because of compound interest. Your money earns money, and then that new money starts earning money too, endlessly. Someone investing at 20 has decades longer for compounding than someone starting at 40, even with much smaller amounts. Boring, unglamorous index funds have quietly outperformed most flashy, trendy investment strategies over long stretches of actual real time. When investments do pay off, they often reinvest the profits instead of immediately spending on new liabilities and upgrades. So habit 2 is patience. Invest consistently, avoid panic, and let compounding quietly work in the background for years. When investments do pay off, they often reinvest the profits instead of immediately spending on new liabilities and lifestyle upgrades. But investing alone isn't the whole story. Most self-made millionaires also build something else entirely, quietly, on the side. Habit 3. They build multiple income streams instead of relying on one single paycheck for their entire livelihood forever. Rental income, dividends, a small side business, freelance skills, these all quietly stack on top of a regular job. Most side streams start incredibly small, sometimes earning just a few dollars a month before growing into something meaningful. Rental income, dividends, a small side business, freelance skills, these all quietly stack on top of a regular job's income. Building a second stream takes real time and effort up front, often with little to no payoff for the first year. So habit 3 is diversification. Build more than one income stream, even if each one starts painfully small at first. Self-made millionaires treat side income like planting seeds. They water it patiently, long before expecting any visible fruit at all. Habit 4. They read constantly, treating books and articles as tools rather than entertainment or a way to relax. None of this happens by accident, though. Self-made millionaires share one more quiet habit that quietly fuels everything else. They treat learning like investing money. Time spent reading today quietly compounds into better decisions years down the road. They also study failures closely, both their own and others, extracting lessons instead of simply feeling embarrassed and moving on. Many actively seek mentors or communities further along the path, asking questions instead of guessing their way through everything. So habit 4 is curiosity. Keep learning constantly and treat every mistake as a lesson instead of simply a failure. There's one final habit, though, quieter than all the rest, that protects everything they've patiently built over the years. Habit 5. They manage risk carefully, keeping emergency savings and avoiding bets big enough to wipe them out completely. Most keep 3 to 6 months of expenses saved, untouched, purely as a cushion against sudden job loss or emergencies. They rarely risk everything on one single opportunity, no matter how exciting or promising that opportunity might initially seem. Insurance, whether health, auto, or property, is treated as protection for everything they've already built, never as wasted money. When they do take risks, they're calculated ones, backed by research, with a clear plan for what happens if it fails. So habit 5 is protection. Build a cushion, avoid reckless bets, and always plan carefully for what could go wrong. Spend less, invest patiently, diversify income, keep learning, and manage risk carefully. 5 quiet habits, repeated for years. Notice something important. None of these habits require luck, inheritance, or a genius-level idea nobody else has thought of. The real secret isn't secret at all. It's simply doing unglamorous things consistently, long after motivation naturally fades away. Let's bust a myth. A huge salary alone doesn't create millionaires. Plenty of high earners still live paycheck to paycheck. Another myth. Overnight success. Most self-made millionaires built their wealth slowly, often over 10, 15, or 20 quiet years. A third myth. Special talent required. Most of these habits are simple, learnable, and available to literally anyone willing. A fourth myth. You're too young to start. Many self-made millionaires began these exact habits while still in their teens. The only real requirement is consistency, applied quietly, for far longer than most people are ever willing to wait. Let me tell you about a person who worked an ordinary job for decades and still retired quietly as a millionaire. No special degree, no flashy business, just a steady job, consistent saving, and decades of patient, unglamorous investing behavior. When they passed away, their surprisingly large net worth genuinely shocked family, friends, and neighbors who had no idea. It worked because wealth was never about appearances. It quietly accumulated behind the scenes, invisible until the very end. This story isn't rare. It's simply what happens when quiet habits repeat consistently for 20 or 30 patient years. You might think, I don't earn enough to start any of this yet. Truth is, these habits work at any income. Saving 10% of a small allowance builds the exact same habit as saving 10% of a large salary. The habit itself matters more than the amount. Amounts naturally grow over time once the underlying habit is firmly set. From today forward, stop asking, how much can I earn? And start asking, what habit can I build right now? Before any purchase, pause and ask, does this build toward my future or quietly delay it for another year? So, how do you actually start building these 5 habits today without needing a large income or special background whatsoever? Step 1. Track every dollar you spend for just 1 month. Awareness alone quietly changes spending behavior almost immediately. Step 2. Automate a small savings transfer the moment income arrives before you ever have a chance to spend it. Step 3. Open a simple investment account and contribute consistently, even if the very first amount feels genuinely tiny. Step 4. Experiment with one small side income idea, even if it only earns a few dollars the first month. Step 5. Read or watch one piece of financial content weekly, treating it as a habit rather than an occasional activity. Step 6. Set aside a small emergency cushion first, even before investing aggressively, to protect everything else you're building. You don't need to master all 5 habits immediately. Small, consistent progress beats occasional, dramatic bursts of motivation every time. Review your progress every few months. Watching small habits stack quietly becomes one of the most motivating feelings possible. Remember, none of these habits show dramatic results in a week. They show dramatic results after 10 quiet, patient years. You now understand habits that most adults never fully learned. That alone puts you years ahead of where most people start. Avoid the biggest mistake, waiting for a big income before starting. The habit matters far more than the number. Avoid a second mistake too, comparing your progress to others online, since most flashy lifestyles hide invisible piles of debt. And avoid a third mistake, abandoning good habits the moment results feel slow, since slow is genuinely how this works. So here's your concrete takeaway. Pick just one habit from today's video and start practicing it this exact week. Once one habit feels automatic, quietly add a second one, then a third, stacking slowly instead of rushing everything at once. Habits compound just like money does. Small, consistent actions today quietly stack into a completely different life years later. Stop picturing wealth as mansions and supercars. Picture it instead as quiet freedom, security, and options most people never have. Self-made millionaires often value freedom over flash, the ability to choose their time, rather than impress people around them. Everything we covered today only works with a long-term view. Quick wins rarely build anything that actually lasts for decades. Quick recap: spend below your means and invest patiently, letting compounding quietly work in the background for many years. Build multiple income streams today and keep learning constantly, treating both as long-term investments rather than optional extras entirely. And finally, manage risk carefully, keeping a cushion and avoiding bets big enough to undo everything you've carefully built. The core truth stays the same throughout. Wealth is quiet, consistent, and built through habits nobody ever really notices. You now hold the same quiet blueprint self-made millionaires have used for decades, regardless of where you're starting from today. Before we wrap up, let's lock this in with one final, simple challenge you can start working on immediately. Comment below with the one habit from today you're going to start first. I'll personally reply to a few. If this reframed how you think about wealth, subscribe. Every week, Emma Invests breaks down one more quiet money lesson. Next, watch how compound interest quietly turns small weekly savings into 6 figures, the natural next step from here. Your challenge this week: automate one small savings transfer and track your spending for 7 full days straight, honestly. You don't need to overhaul your entire life today. One small, consistent habit is genuinely enough to begin with. Every self-made millionaire started exactly where you are now, with one small habit repeated quietly for a very long time. Wealth isn't loud, flashy, or fast. It's quiet, patient, and built one small, boring habit at a time, always. Start today, however small that start might feel. In 10 years, you'll be genuinely grateful you began right now. I'm Emma. Now go build your quiet habits one at a time. I'll see you in the next video.